part of Double P Media, doublepmedia.com.
Welcome back to Bustin' Blockbusters, everybody. My name is Matt. I also have Coach T along with me.
Yeah, Matt, that's Coach T, formerly known as T, the artist formerly known as Coach Trolloc. That's my full name. Please say it.
Coach T, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to call you Coach T. I'm not going to go through 2 minutes of saying your name.
Whatever. That's fine.
We've got a super breakdown of the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power trailer, which came out on July 14th. And at the end, we are also going to give you your coverage of Westworld Season 4. That is why Coach is here with us today.
Well, I'm not just here for the Westworld, Matt. I mean, I like Lord of the Rings too, as I've said before. Some of my best friends are orcs.
That's fantastic, Coach. So which would you rather do first? Would you rather break down the Westworld first, or would you rather do the Lord of the Rings trailer first?
Well, I'm very much into breaking down this Lord of the Rings trailer because it is hot. I loved a couple of those shots. Fire and people dying. I mean, that's hot.
Quite literally in some cases. So let's get started on that right away. I will go on record just saying I loved this trailer. I finally saw some of that money being spent. Well, I'm not going to say that. All of the previous trailers had a good deal of evidence of money being spent. And I know that a lot of people are talking about, well, a good portion of the money of the $462 million that was spent this particular season, or that's the estimates anyway, was spent on the rights for the Tolkien, and then they're not even really able to do a lot of the stuff directly from the Second Age as Tolkien wrote it. You'll notice in this trailer they say based on the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, and that's fine, but at least they have the right to do that. And remember, I think that the $250 million that was spent for those rights is Amazon's to do with for life, or at least for the length of this series. They've already put together 2 seasons for this series, so that puts it at $125 million a season, and it still leaves nearly $340 million for 8 episodes of television. And God, did this trailer look beautiful. That's all I really wanted to say, is that the money, however they're spending it, be it on infrastructure or whatever, was well spent.
Man, I would agree with that. I think, as I said, some of this trailer looks very hot to me. I always get hot and bothered when I see people dying and death and destruction, people fleeing, people scared. That makes me very happy, of course.
I'm sure it does, Coach. Are you ready to get to talking about this trailer?
Hey, Matt, before we get started, could I just offer one general criticism before we really dive in?
Sure, Coach T, go ahead.
Well, I don't understand why they always have these pretty voices singing the music when really Middle-earth isn't just full of beautiful singing voices like the one that we hear. I think it should be more representative. Because let's face it, most of us can't sing, and I know that I could have done a much better job at that particular song. I mean, just listen. Come to me, land far away.
Yeah, Coach, don't ever do that again.
What?
No, seriously, don't. So, Coach, we should be telling the people that we are not Tolkien experts.
Boy, you got that right.
And because of that, we rely sometimes on those who are. Almost immediately after this trailer was released on July 14th, a great website, theonering.net, gave a description of what we were seeing. And we're not saying that it is entirely accurate, but we can say that it would be better than ours. So we want to credit greendragon at theonering.net for this recounting of the trailer. Now, some analysis we will add.
Yes, that is correct. We will be adding some analysis ourselves, because otherwise you could just go read that and you wouldn't need us.
That is correct. And the trailer starts off with really a shot that we saw at the very end of the teaser trailer, the rock falling from space teaser I'm talking about. But a little more has been added up front, or a little bit more of the beginning of the shot has been added. And we see one of those large statue heads carved into the rock or built on the rock. So I would say that this places us probably in Numenor. And as the camera goes down the chasm, you're looking up at a great establishment that looks over all of this.
I think you're right, Matt. I don't believe this would be anywhere but Numenor, but you spent little to no time breaking it down last time, so it's good that you included it here.
True, and I've got a little more on this. If you notice how the buildings that are at the top overlooking this, there's almost kind of that Minas Tirith kind of wedge there, which again would make it the connection with the Numenor architecture and probably place us in Numenor.
Yeah, that's good analysis, Matt. I believe that too. I still am wondering why you didn't mention any of this last time. I guess you were just too focused on a rock in space falling from the sky, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Now, as this is happening, we hear a voice speaking some words saying, "There was a time when the world was so young." Our friends over at theonering.net, that would be Green Dragon, says that this voiceover is Galadriel, and we do see the very next shot of her kind of raising her eyes. It's not much to comment on, in my opinion, but there it is. There's Galadriel.
Well, what do you think she's raising her eyes to, Coach? I mean, is she just looking up at someone? Is she looking up at something? Is she looking up at a rock falling from space?
Well, Matt, I think that's just a stupid question. Just let's move on.
Okay, well, the voiceover continues and says there had not yet been a sunrise, but even then there was light. And during the course of this, we actually see a shot that was one of the first promo images that we ever saw of someone coming over a hill to see this bright light and this great, probably elven city. I'm not sure if it's actually Rivendell, because I'm pretty sure that Elrond built Rivendell. So this was probably before then. And the fact that they say before there had not yet been a sunrise, but even then there was light, tells me this is probably pretty much the beginning of time. And one of the shots that we see as he climbs over the hill and then it kind of shifts to it and focuses it is this great light coming through this huge tree, or perhaps coming from this huge tree.
That's kind of what I gathered, Matt, is that it's actually coming from. I mean, I'm not going to get into any kind of debate about it, really, but I feel like that if you can't have a sunrise, that means that there's no sun. Yet if there's light, it's got to be coming from somewhere, so why not a tree?
We should add that Green Dragon adds some analysis here as well, which I'm kind of taking their word for it, but it says that the short-haired elf walking up the hill could possibly be Finrod, and that the city could be called Tyrion, perhaps. And then there are the two trees, Laurelin and Telperion.
I'm betting you pronounced about 90% of that wrong.
For you Lord of the Rings people who know that I just mispronounced those names terribly, please feel free to contact me about it. Tell me the proper way to pronounce these, or I'll try and listen to some other experts and have some of this in my head before the series starts, or hopefully get the names right once I hear them on the TV show.
Well, Matt, one of your handicaps has always been speaking.
True. Then we get the Prime Video logo on a black screen, and then we get some cloaked figures, possibly elves. They're seen from above, running across a landscape. And again, we're shown just how beautiful New Zealand is with that particular shot.
That's right. And then the singer comes in and starts singing, "Come to me, come to..."
Coach, I asked you not to do that.
Oh, sorry.
And we see a similar overhead shot of more figures walking over snow at the mountaintop with the camera kind of starts to follow a bird. It's a really nice shot.
Yes, very pretty, even though I hate pretty.
And then we get this shot of another elven kingdom, I'm suspecting, although I'm not sure that it's the same one that we just saw. This one's sitting very high up on a hill, and we hear another voiceover saying, elves have the forests to protect.
Now, Matt, here's something I want to talk about real quick. I can't really tell that much of a difference between the first voiceover and this one that's talking about the elves. Yet, Green Dragon now changes the perspective of the voiceover to a Harfoot. Is it possible that it was a Harfoot all along?
Well, Coach, I'm not going to question Green Dragon here, but I have to recall that you had a bit of a failure at your musical career because you couldn't really distinguish between pitches and, I'm guessing, accents or timbres or anything. So I'm not really going to comment on whose voice this is. I do believe this second one is definitely a Harfoot speaking because we see her in a couple of shots. Whether she was speaking before or not, we can let our listeners decide that. Let us know by tweeting at BusBlockbuster on Twitter, or you can send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's MATTS audioblog@gmail.com. MATTS audioblog@gmail.com. Make sure to put Coach T in the subject so that I can find it and read it.
How do you have access to my email?
What? I don't.
Anyway.
Now, wait a minute, Matt. Before we get any further, let's talk about this song. Come to me, land far away, are the first phrases that we hear. I love that. What do you think they mean by that?
Coach, I don't have any idea, actually. Maybe it's translated from some elven sayings. What I can say is that the music in this trailer really reminds me of the Howard Shore kind of score approach to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I guess The Hobbit to some degree as well. But I honestly don't know who composed for this particular trailer. I don't even really know who's composing for the show because while there's been reports that Howard Shore was in talks with Amazon about doing the score for this and even some quasi-confirmations, I'm not finding it officially credited in anything Howard Shore official, like the IMDb or his CVs. So I don't know how anything's been confirmed unless he just told somebody and it leaked. I know there were lots of articles about him being in talks with Amazon again. I don't know how those talks went. I also know that it was Felix Erskine who was credited for composing for trailers before. So, sorry, maybe it just means, we're fans looking to go back to Middle-earth, that land far away, and the show is inviting us there.
Oh, deep, Matt. I completely disagree, but deep.
I am not even going to engage in this debate because we still have so much trailer to talk about, Coach T. So, moving on.
Well, Matt, I want to go back to that shot on the mountain where we focus on the bird. Was that an eagle? Was that one of the Hobbit's friend eagles that would always come and save them?
You know what? Green Dragon says that it actually looks like a seagull. Maybe all birds were big back in the early days.
Well, that doesn't really answer the question, but okay. Sorry, let's move on.
Right on. And Green Dragon also says that the one shot where we hear the phrase elves protect the forest, that could be Lindon, which is the elven kingdom, I believe, that Gil-galad heralds from. And then we move on to another shot where we're talking about a different group of people. The Harfoot speaks as we see the inside of Moria or Khazad-dûm, and it really looks beautiful. It says dwarves their minds. So elves have their forest to protect, dwarves their minds. You can get a sense that all of the different types of people, we're going to see little shots of them. Man, some of these shots at Khazad-dûm, though, or Moria, I suppose, are just gorgeous.
Yeah. I spent some time living underground, usually when I was being punished by the Dark One, when the Trollocs would be defeated by someone. I'm not big on the underground environment, but I would say that if I had to be banished to an underground environment, or if I was, made to live in an underground environment, this probably would be the one that I really would dig into.
Absolutely. And then we see some men who are harvesting things. And Green Dragon points out that this area looks kind of like where we may have seen Bronwyn in, who is the girlfriend, I suppose, of the elf. And the Harfoot says, "Men their fields of grain." So they're protecting those. And then we pan over to what appears to be stalks of corn in a field, but it actually turns out to be the headdress being worn by one of the Harfoots. And the Harfoot turns in profile and puts a small, I don't know, is that a pipe? Is that a whistle? To their lips.
You know, being a coach, I feel like that probably could be a whistle of some kind. Maybe this Harfoot is trying to alert the other Harfoots of some kind of danger. I mean, is there people coming up over the hill there where the Harfoot's looking? Maybe they're doing some kind of warning.
That is a possibility, Coach. I don't know if it's a smoking pipe or if it's a whistling pipe or if it's a musical pipe. Green Dragon seems to think that it is a musical pipe. And then we hear the phrase, "But we Harfoots have each other." And we see some Harfoots among the trees, dancing, maybe doing some kind of ancient ritual, maybe trying to scare away invaders. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But these are kind of the ancestors of what we know of as hobbits.
And then don't forget, Matt, the singer is singing, "For I must now wander this wandering day."
Good point, Coach. And maybe that's, there you go. There's the purpose of the song. The song is talking about lands far away and wandering. The Harfoots typically, I believe, are nomadic. So maybe this is a song for the Harfoots and just they're wandering about.
Oh, maybe so.
But now we see the speaker that was the VO, and I believe that this Harfoot is called Marigold Brandyfoot, played by Sarah Zwangobani.
Oh, Matt, don't try to say people's last names. You butcher them all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. But anyway, Marigold Brandyfoot is saying we're safe and kind of shrugging off whatever concerns that she's shrugging off.
That doesn't sound like a very smart practice. I mean, you're never safe if a Trollocs around. Trust me, I know I'm good at what I do.
I bet you are, Coach. I bet you are. That's why you're still the coach of the Trollocs in Wheel of Time.
Hey, shut up.
Then we get shots from the rock falling to space trailer. We're watching Nori watching the meteor streak across the sky and then crash beyond the trees. All seems to be pretty much exactly the same as we saw it in the teaser for the teaser.
Yeah, Matt, but I'd just like to point out that you said we'd probably see that whole sequence edited exactly the same way. We did not. We got a whole lot of new footage in this trailer. Some of it we had seen before, but most of it was pretty new.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. I will admit that I was completely wrong about what they were going to release this week when I talked about the teaser last week.
Right. Then we get text on the screen, on a black screen, saying, "Based on the works of J.R.R. Tolkien." Why do you need that many letters? Ronald Rule. Can we call him Railroad just like we call George Railroad?
No, we cannot. But then we do see the shot of the waterfall on the ice cliff, and that's a shot that we saw in the original teaser trailer, the one that was being scaled by Galadriel, and we hear Elrond's voice saying, "You have fought long enough, Galadriel," and we see a shot of Galadriel with another male elf on the snowy mountaintop. She does not look impressed by this guy, and she slams her sword into the ice. Elrond continues, "Put up your sword," and we see Elrond speaking to Galadriel. The look that she gives him, again, doesn't seem very impressed. And we see some figures then in a storm. They have torches, but they're in the middle of a snowstorm. I don't know if that's connected to Galadriel climbing the waterfall that we saw in the first teaser or not. But then Galadriel says, "The enemy is still out there." And we see Galadriel talking to Elrond. The question is where? And then this next shot is really interesting. we see elves in an ice cave. And in the foreground, we can see somebody behind a rock, or at least the hand of something behind a rock that is watching them.
You know, Matt, Green Dragon asked the question about this, if this could possibly be John Howe's snow troll. I mean, a snow troll sounds cool, doesn't it?
It actually does, Coach. I would like to see a snow troll.
Well, this seems like the perfect place to have it. In the snow, in an ice cave.
Yes, it does.
And then we get this really high altitude shot of another city. It looks like it's by a bay or something of that degree. Not exactly sure if this is someplace we've seen before or not. Is it possibly another part of Numenor? That's the question that Green Dragon asks. I don't know, Matt. What do you think?
Well, we know that we get some other shots of Numenor in this trailer later on. Perhaps this is someplace completely different. Green Dragon guesses Romina, however you say that. But I honestly have no clue. Looks like there's too many land masses around for it to be Numenor itself to me, so.
And then Eldron and Galadriel's conversation, it continues on, and we see Elrond saying it's over. And then Galadriel responds by saying, "You've not seen what I've seen." And Elrond says, "I've seen my share."
And Galadriel responds one more time with, "You have not seen."
Oh, Matt, this is exciting, because now we're in my favorite part of the trailer. We see Galadriel. She's in this kind of almost hellish-like environment. She's all red. She looks like she's been in battle. She looks a little tousled. And she looks up, and there's a whole bunch of bodies just seemingly like floating in fiery air. And I don't know if this is a place on Middle-earth or if it's supposed to be some kind of hellscape. There's some figure there in the distance. It looks like it's part fiery, but I can't tell if it's a building or if it's a person. But I just think that this stuff is absolutely fantastic. Look at those bodies. The torment, the torture. It's perfect.
Well, you would go there first, Coach T, because I know that's what you really love to see. We should mention that Green Dragon asks if we are seeing the Tempest of Fire at the end of the War of Wrath, which I believe was the war that kind of ended Morgoth, so to speak.
No, man. Stay right here. Stay with me. Bodies. All kinds of dead bodies in hell. This is exactly what I love about any fantasy series. It's what makes things exciting and scary and worth watching.
Yes. Well, the thing is that when we talked about the very first teaser trailer, we did say that there were going to be things the way they were going to compress time. This could very well be a flashback to that war. And I believe there was an elf that we talked about that we saw in the teaser trailer, but who wouldn't have existed at the same time as some of the other characters in this story that we do know. So I'm wondering if we could see the War of Wrath in kind of a compressed form, probably just as a flashback, Galadriel's flashback. Obviously, she's there. But I'm excited to see myself, Coach, where this might fall in the particular story.
Me too. I mean, I hope that there's a whole episode dedicated just to this. These pictures are marvelous.
Okay, well, I wouldn't go that far. But then we cut away from Coach's favorite scene and back to Galadriel, where she finishes the sentence before she said, "You've not seen." We saw that, and then she says, "What I have seen." And we get another screen saying, "This September." And we get this wonderful shot of the ship that we've seen in several shots. I believe it's the same elven ship sailing into Numenor, probably into that bay that we saw in the very first teaser trailer as well. And then the text on the screen says, "The legend begins." And then we get another shot of that beautiful tree, one of my favorite looking sets that Gil-galad hangs out at a lot, which I believe is supposed to be in Lindon. And Gil-galad says, "Darkness will march over the face of the earth." And then we get an overhead shot of orcs with flaming torches marching along a bridge. Green Dragon mentions that this looks like the march out of Minas Morgul in Return of the King. Of course, it won't be that, but it could be something very similar. And it does have that same kind of architectural look. Gil-galad continues by saying, it will be the end not just of our people. And then we get that shot of the ship that we also got in the teaser, the rock falling from the sky trailer, of birds coming down towards the ship that we believe Galadriel is on. We see her in profile, and she's in a pale dress and in golden light, probably, again, all from that same shot. She looks up and to her left, probably looking up at the birds. And then we get yet another shot that we saw in the prior teaser. This woman from Numenor, who Green Dragon calls Muriel. I have not heard that name before, but perhaps it is. And she is looking up. It's almost the exact same shot from the teaser trailer. But it looks like something white and floaty is falling on the city. And Gil-galad finishes with, but all peoples. So that full phrase is, it will be the end not just of our people, but all peoples. And then we see some Harfoots who are also staring up. And there's kind of like stuff falling there as well. And Green Dragon notes that it is the arrival of the stranger, and it is clearly not meant to be a good thing. And we see Nori and her friend Poppy are staring, and then we have this guy. Now, is this the alleged meteor man, the stranger? And what is he doing? Is he controlling or manipulating the fire, as Green Dragon suggests? What do we think here? Folks, we'd love to hear from you. At BustBlockbuster on Twitter. You can send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com.
And don't forget to put Coach T in the subject.
How the hell are you getting into my emails?
What? You know I did a whole feedback podcast, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't explain how you got into my email.
Never mind. Don't put Coach T in the subject.
And then we have Elrond here. He seems like he's in Khazad-dûm, being escorted by dwarf guards. And he stares around for a minute and looks at the incredible, beautiful underground. Once again, I just think that whole setup is awesome.
And Matt, if I can just jump in here real quick, I like it too. Here's our first shot of, I believe it's King Durin, and he's telling probably Prince Durin that he says, I'm sorry, but their time has come. I thought he said, I'm sorry, but the time has come, but I could be wrong about that. And then we see Prince Durin cracking the stone. This is stuff that we've seen in a previous teaser as well. So we're just getting a lot of shots. Basically, what it looks like to be from the same scene or the same part of the episode or the same episodes. Matt, about how much of the actual footage from different episodes do you think we're seeing in these?
That's a good question, Coach. I honestly don't know. Usually trailers are reserved mostly to the first 2 episodes because they don't want to give too much away as to what might be happening later. But I've seen some trailers that include right up to scenes from the finale in them as well, so I can't really say.
I'm betting that we're going to see most of this stuff within the first 2 episodes as well.
Well, we're getting another shot from the first teaser. Basically, we see ice that is falling from a cliff on top of an elf a little bit, and he has to kind of struggle to avoid it. This could be very connected to Galadriel climbing in the first teaser.
And then we've got Halbrand here, who appears to be in some kind of, I guess like a throne room or something. And there is another voice over here leading to a shot where we see that it's actually Arondir speaking. He's the elf, and he's saying the past is with us all. And the shot of Arondir seems to be him, I don't know, at an inn. It looks like somebody's pouring him a drink, and he's kind of looking quizzically at someone.
Right, and then we get another set of shots that we'd seen in the first teaser as well. There's some charging horses with either men or elves on top. I don't know if it's men or elves, but It's definitely a group that looks like they're charging into battle or charging on a hunt or racing. I don't know. But Green Dragon says that they are from Numenor, so maybe we'll take their word for it. A new voice chimes in saying the past is dead, and we see the Harfoots, Nori and Poppy, are hugging. And then we see Galadriel on a raft in a stormy ocean, and she's appearing to be swept overboard. At least according to Green Dragon, I didn't think that was Galadriel. I thought that was the human. What's his name? Halbrand?
Well, it's dark and there's a lot of flashing lights, man. It might be kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, maybe so. Anyway, there's another shot of another ship, and Green Dragon says that this is Isildur, who you might remember was one of the kings of men who, I believe, fought Sauron and actually was the one who ended up with the One Ring for a while. But I'm not certain if this is the same Isildur or not, or if it even is Isildur. And then we see two horses riding down a beach, basically, and we're told by the Entertainment Weekly article that just came out recently that that's Galadriel and Elendil riding along Numenor's coastline, and there's this close-up on the blue swirling robes of Galadriel.
Yeah, that's magical. I mean, when you're riding a horse, your robes don't move around like that. They don't swirl. There's some magic going on there.
Okay, and then there's a voiceover that's continuing, and we see who it is. He says, "Or we die with it." And this is Elendil, who is played by Lloyd Owen.
Right, and then we see a crowd of Numenorians. They're seen cheering someone who has raised their arms, and you flip the script and you see the other side of it, and it's a bearded man in front of great doors to some kind of citadel being acclaimed by a crowd. And Green Dragon says that this is Pharazôn, who's played by Tristan Gravel.
Good to know. And then we see a horseman grab a spear as he's galloping. Can't tell if that's actually Halbrand or not, but it kind of looks like him. And then it's followed by Prince Durin, who is holding up a gem, and he's speaking to someone. He says, "This could be the beginning of a new era. Could this possibly be part of the negotiations with himself and Elrond? Maybe so. It could be something totally different." And then there's this circular shot. It's like it's going around in a circle, and every time a new elf comes into the shot, they're starting to draw a sword.
Oh, and this next shot is really exciting, Matt. I love this shot. If you remember, we saw some shots of Arondir before, and it looked like he had some kind of thing attached to his leg or a chain. Well, it looks like he's got the same thing here. He's spinning and leaping and doing all kinds of Legolas kind of things. But it looks like he's trying to get out of the way of one of my favorite creatures. I want one as a pet so badly. A warg. Wargs are so cute. I want one. Matt, would it be okay if I kept it over here at your house? Because my place doesn't allow pets.
Absolutely not. I will not have a warg in my house. That whole motion of that particular shot seemed a little wanky to me for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why.
What are you talking about? It's a warg. It's so cute.
Yeah, okay. And now here we have a troll attacking Galadriel and her crew in the ice cave. So the initial trailer, we saw a little bit of this. If you have seen, these shots have been out for a while, but from Empire, you can see a troll there. I don't know if this is the same snow troll as you saw in that shot there or not, but this one looks pretty darn mean.
Mean? How do you know that? I mean, trolls are people too. In fact, being a Trolloc, which has the same troll spelling in it, I'm not sure that that's not an ancestor of mine. So just be real careful with who you're calling mean.
Okay, Coach, I'm sorry. And then we have some shots of a hand, and I guess it's the hand of this meteor man or the stranger on the rocks. And there's rocks and fire swirling in towards him. And they almost seem to make the shape of a lidless eye, according to Green Dragon, before they disappear.
We've seen a lidless eye before, haven't we, Matt?
Well, yes, we have. Sauron is who we've seen. So, do we want to question whether we think that this stranger is, in fact, Sauron, the big bad of the story, the main stories that we know, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit?
It could very well be that Meteor Man is, in fact, Sauron. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a rock that fell from space, right? I mean, I think you had it wrong all along. You just called it a rock from space. And I think what we have here is a villain from space. I'm not exactly sure why it is that Sauron had to come to the world this way, but I think that this is probably Sauron, that we've already figured it out.
Well, trust me, Coach, if you and I have figured this out, that means that the show obviously wanted us to figure this out.
Wow, we're almost done with this trailer, Matt.
Yeah, we are. The last shot is actually a bunch of Harfoots walking on the grass, and you have Sadak Burrows, who's played by Sir Lenny Henry, and he's carrying a walking staff, and you see Nori and Poppy and some other Harfoots following along as well.
And don't forget the most important part. The singer is singing again, saying, "Away I must wander this wandering day."
Same line as we heard earlier. But yeah, good singing done there. I'm glad that you didn't try to sing that this time around.
What are you talking about? I was singing.
Oh, okay. So you do get a couple of logo screens. You get the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, new series, September 2nd. Nothing that we didn't already know. And the Prime Video logo appears on a blue screen. Well, now, Coach, since we have broken this down a little bit, do you have any different impressions of the trailer than you did before we talked about it?
Not really. I'm still very fixated on the hellscape stuff right there in the middle. I can't wait to see that be blown up into all of episode 1, hopefully, and then all of the rest of the stuff that we got in the trailer will be episode 2. But yeah, I really am looking forward to Death and Destruction, and if Sauron is this Meteor Man, then I'm all for it. Hopefully he'll start killing people quick, because that's what I like to see.
All right, good thoughts. Good thoughts. Basically, that's what we got out of the Lord of the Rings trailer. Don't forget, you can tweet to @BustBlockbuster on Twitter if you have any thoughts about anything that we said today. You can send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com, mattsaudioblog@gmail.com, or you can use the contact form at mattsaudioblog.com, mattsaudioblog.com. Don't forget that we're part of the Double P podcasting family, or Double P Media, as it's known. The word double, the letter P, the word media.com. Use that same spelling for the YouTube, which is youtube.com/C/the word double, the letter P, the word media. And if you want to contact them on other socials, the spelling to remember is the word double, the letters PHQ. That's the word double, the letter PHQ on Twitter, on Instagram. And if you do that same spelling on Facebook, facebook.com/the word double, the letters PHQ. Thanks for joining me, Coach. Thanks for joining me, listeners. And we will talk to you next time here on Bustin' Blockbusters. Take care.
Part of Double P Media, doublepmedia.com.